Oh, that's good. So, is it say that this is your most accessible album in 2 decades? So, do you think so as well?
I think it's the most accessible collection of songs in 2 decades from therapy. I think some other therapy albums have had maybe one or two songs on them that are accessible, but this is the first complete album where all the songs on the album have got memorable lyrics and melodies.
Right. Okay. So, would you consider Crooked Timber and Brief Crack of Light as some sort of bad experiments in the band, or they were necessary albums for you to get here?
Well, I think those albums, we're very proud of them, but those albums are based more around rhythm. There's fantastic drumming on those records, and we were exploring rhythm. If you look at old therapy releases, in 1992, we released an album called Nurse. And if you
Yeah.
listen to that album, the drums on that album are fantastic, but the songs aren't as memorable as on Troublegum. And I think we're very proud of Crooked Timber and A Brief Crack of Light for the rhythm, the drum on it, but I think the songs are more memorable on Disquiet.
Yeah. Okay, so do you think that this Quiet, this album, would receive the same popular acceptance that Trouble had 20 years ago? The industry has changed a lot and all those things.
I don't think it will have the same amount of acceptance as Troublegum. I'm a very realistic person, and the band has not been in the mainstream for such a long time. We are not on a major record label. We do not get played on daytime radio, and magazines no longer put us on their front covers. So I think the band would be very happy with our fans buying the record, and maybe some people who were therapy fans in the 90s maybe giving the band another shot and saying, you know what, these guys still rock, these guys are great. But we're very realistic. We don't expect it to sell 2 million copies like Troublegum did.
Yeah, right. Well, bands like Say No More are releasing a new album. You guys as well. I saw you last year on a Hellfest,
Uh-huh.
which was great to hear those songs again. And people love these hits, these comebacks.
Yeah.
Well, do you think the nostalgia is a big business nowadays?
Sorry, do I think it's big business nowadays?
Do you think that the nostalgia factor is playing a big business in bands these days?
Well, I think music moves in circles. And I remember when Therapy and Faith No More and Helmet and Pearl Jam and Nirvana were all big bands in the 90s. Nobody listened to Motley Crue or Guns N' Roses anymore, and people said that music's dead. But a few years later, Motley Crue and Guns N' Roses are big bands again and playing stadiums. And I think it's the same. A few years ago, people said that 90s music was dead because of new metal,
Yeah.
bands like Slipknot and Korn. And now bands like Faith No More are coming back and playing stadiums. So I think it's a little cycle. People get really excited about something new, and then they get bored of it, and then it comes back. And I think, myself, when I was a kid, my favorite band was Killing Joke, one of my favorite bands.
Yeah.
And for a little while in the 90s, I didn't listen to Killing Joke. And then they brought out a wonderful album in 2003, and I got really into Killing Joke again. So I'm presuming that's just what happened. People maybe develop other tastes in music, look for something else, but then good music will always prevail. Good music will always last. So that's what happens, I think.
All right. Well, just one last question. What do you think made therapy so big in the first place in the 90s?
I think it was the fact that the songs were memorable and the lyrics could be appreciated by a lot of people. There are a lot of people in the world that are unhappy with life, but want to make the most of what they've got. And they could see themselves in those songs. Songs like Nowhere, songs like Screamager, even songs like Knives, about I'm going to get drunk, come around and fuck you up. I think that talked about people that feel absolutely helpless.
Yeah.
And, in every town and every country in the world, there are kids that like angry music, that want something to help them through tough times. And I think a record like Troublegum was a lot of people in the 90s identified with it.
Right. Do you think that the songs in this quiet are as angry as the songs in Troublegum?
It's a different kind of anger. The songs, when you're young and you're angry, are blind anger. You don't know exactly why you're pissed off, but boy, are you pissed off. When you're 20 years older, it's the feeling of being let down by the government and by the banks and by friends
Yeah.
that makes you feel helpless. And it's this helplessness that makes you feel angry. So it's still anger, but it's a different kind of anger.
Yeah. So it's an angry album then.
Yeah.
Totally. Okay, so what are your plans 2015? Are you gonna tour again present this album?
Yes, we're doing a 5 week tour starting next Tuesday, but
Yeah.
it's in the UK and Germany, Belgium, and Holland. But then we're doing summer festivals, and after the summer, we have plans to go and do another European tour in September, October. So we're trying to put that together now.
Right.
So
To
we'd love to come
Spain?
back to Spain. I mean, if we get any offers from Spain, we will certainly consider them because we love the country.
Oh, that would be great to have you back here.
It will be fantastic.